Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of the Write Your Own Story podcast. I am your host, Betsy Leonidas, and I'm so thrilled to be here with my dear friend and trainer, Melody Lasso.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. Okay, we're going to get into it. What I really am excited about, this is what I'm geek out about talking to you about, is one, we have like all these universal, snuggly, like just sort of like kinetic connections. Yeah. Literally. It's like we've known each other for a bajillion years, but you're so scientifically based and so passionate about what you do that like I just geek out whenever you and I get into these conversations because they're like equally warm and fuzzy, equally data driven. And I'm like, she's my people.
Oh. Hopefully I remember all the data. I am like a science nerd, but I'm bad at retaining the information when I'm pregnant.
How many weeks pregnant are you?
There. I'll be in my third trimester on Friday.
So. Oh my God.
Yeah, 28 on Friday.
I'm so excited to be here today because when we were prepping for this episode, we were going round and round on the title, and still a working title. But I think what is so awesome is that most people aren't going to expect this, but this is all around the beauty of doing less. And I'm like, oh, every woman seems to need permission, myself very much included, to do less. And we are here to celebrate less, talk about why it feels warm and snuggly to do less, and scientifically why it's so important to do less, which I am all for. Fine, sign me up for less.
Yeah. Why your body needs you to do less.
I love that. Yeah. So when we were also, I love to start each episode out with an intention so that I make sure, one, that when people are listening, they're level set. Two, that I stay organized as the leader of the conversation, really just the facilitator of your beautiful message, that we are circling back on the intention. But when we were talking, I also like, this is just going to be a creative episode. The promise really is, we want our listeners today to promise themselves to do a better job of listening to their body more. So it's not, yes, we have promised to you to deliver probably a swirly conversation because that's how we roll, but also like a beautifully scientific, very passionate conversation. But at the end of the day, what we want for you guys to do is to make sure you promise to pause, slow down, and listen to your body more, because that's where you're really going to find the beauty of doing less. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Exactly. Okay. So should we get in real quick to how we know each other?
Let's do it.
I'll take it. So, okay. One, we follow each other on Instagram, and I was like, can you please train me? I love the way that you approach your training. It's so science-based. But I don't even know if you remember this, but way back when, I think I had just had the twins. You and I both got asked to, I'm going to giggle when I say this, model
a photo shoot.
Yeah, the BNB photo shoot.
Yes, I do remember. Yes, I remember. And I don't remember what it was for, but
it was for BND.
Okay.
Like, remember
that?
Yes. Remember that athletic brand that our friend Mandy had?
Be kind.
Yes.
Be true. Right? I forget the slogan,
there were three of them. It's so good. And their stuff was so comfortable. Good. So Mandy is a friend of mine and was like, hey, will you come in and take some pictures? And I was like, okay. And so
oh my gosh, you look amazing.
I walk in with like, I'm like, I'll take an oversized tank top and some leggings. I got a lot of kids at home. And then I'm like, I walk in and the photographer, I know him. So I'm like, okay, even if I was going to put on some sort of like fake persona to be like, yeah, no, I've totally got my life together. Please take my photos. I was like, hey, Nick. I was like, no, I'm just going to stand here. So weird. Then in comes Melody, does the splits in like her like,
I did.
Yes, you did the splits in your sports bra and your leggings. And I was like, I'm with her.
Okay, well, I'm super pregnant now, so that's really humbling. But
oh my God.
Yeah, I totally get the postpartum vibe. Like that's the last thing you want to see postpartum.
Literally, I was like, I need some self tanner and like a baggy t-shirt. But sure, Mandy, I got you. I'll do it. But it was the funnest day.
That's a good friend right there.
Right? Hey, we all gotta help each other out. But I'm obsessed with that story. And I tell everyone, I was like, first of all, someone asked me to be in their pictures. Like my inner child has a bowl cut. So like, if I know no means do I need to be in a picture.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh, I'm sure they were amazing.
the pictures turned out awesome. Everyone
Yeah.
looked beautiful. It was such a fun day. I loved supporting that brand. But anyway, that is just the
Yeah.
hilarious for how we know each other. But then we did get to train together and I just loved every minute
Hmm.
of it. And I'm super sporty spice and have done plenty of different types of
Hmm.
training. And this was unique, like anything I've ever done before. So that said, would you mind just giving a little rundown, like a bio for
Yeah.
your professional
I would
side?
love to. So,
Okay.
I have been a fitness trainer for about like almost like 13 years now. Wow, that's a long
Wow.
time. I'm old.
Taylor Swift will love
Yeah,
you, my friend.
I know, right?
Right.
So I actually started out as a bar instructor, then I started to do Pilates. So I bar certified Pilates and then I do personal training. But the way I approach personal training is really different. I got into personal training in 2020 like most fitness instructors did
So
because
true.
we got shut down. So
Yeah.
I everything I do is virtual. So we
Mhm.
just do it like we usually via FaceTime if you have an iPhone, if not Zoom.
Yeah.
And it's taken off since 2020, which I'm so grateful for. And I have a ton of amazing clients that are just super consistent. But the way that I train is basically like gentle consistency and not wearing down your body, but also just taking into account how you're showing up. So many of us go through trauma, whether it's
Yes.
physical trauma or emotional trauma. And if we don't take care of that first, we're never going to see the results that we want to see in our bodies. And not just our bodies, because I really say that's like the icing on the cake, but
I
really
love
like
that.
if it gets, yeah, if, once your mind is right and you're not in like pain, the amount of clients that I get that are in chronic pain, whether it's like low grade chronic pain or like
Yeah.
you always have a flare up in your lower back or like you have a lot of tension in your neck and shoulders or like your chest area because you're constantly clenching your jaw, but you don't even realize you're doing it.
Yep.
So, some of the things that we'll do, I'll be like, hey, like it looks like you have this situation going on, and then we'll like slow it down and get really back to the basics of like foundational stuff. Whether it's like with you, we did like dead bugs, right? Because you had four
Yes.
births and you didn't even
Yes.
realize you had four
No,
births.
that is the most hilarious story. So
I
she
had
was
to
like,
literally tell her, like, hey, you
yes.
gave birth to four people.
And I was like, she was like, okay, so you've had 4 births. I was like, no, silly goose, I only had 3. I was very efficient and had twins in the last one. And you were like, but did 4 children come out of your body? I was like, uh-huh. And you were like, then you
Yeah,
have
I was
birthed
like,
4
so.
children.
Yes. And so birth is
Yes.
actually a physical trauma, which
Yeah.
so many women don't even realize because it's like that's what we do, that our biology tells us we do this, right? So
Isn't that
like
wild?
that's something, yeah, you can't just like go through something that is so it's gonna be the hardest workout of your entire life ever. You're
Yeah,
pushing out a human out of your body, and then you're just
literally.
like, oh, 6 weeks, I'm fine. I'm gonna go run this marathon. That's not
Right.
how it works. Like
That's not how
things
it
shut
works.
off, muscles shut off, pelvic floor shuts off, transverse abdominis, which is like your main core stabilizer, shuts off, and then like other areas start to compensate. Sorry, I just
Yeah.
like went on a huge
I
tangent,
got you,
but
girl. Let's
um
do it.
but that's what happens is like we don't notice this is even happening because we're just constantly going through the motion of life and taking
Yes.
care of everyone else besides ourselves, right? So
Yes.
it's so important to just like slow down and just remember to come back to like your mind body connection. And so
I love
basically this is
that.
how I got into personal training. Like
I
I
love
do
that.
take care of that part first and then we build on like we slowly gain start doing more weights and like
Yeah,
then we up the weights and but
sure.
you can't just jump into like hey I'm gonna start squatting 150 pounds like that's
I
your
love
body's not
that.
ready for that.
Not ready for that.
Yeah.
Can you tell the little anecdote about how your day went today and how you were like, because as you're
Yes.
literally as you're like, well, trauma can show up. I've been having like a low back flare up and like my when I get it, like my joints also start to ache and it's
Hmm.
crept back in today. And I'm like, that is just I have a crazy day today. And
Did
like
you
that
have a
just
busy day?
the
Hmm.
hell
Yeah.
of a day. And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, it's like but now after working with you, I'm like, okay, I need to carve out the time to slow down.
To slow
So
down. Yeah.
even though this is your jam and what you preach, how did you practice it today? Because I loved
I
this
love
story.
that. Yeah, so I was so stressed out today because I had my 10-month-old. I'm also very pregnant, and then I had
Mhm.
two clients in the morning. My husband's gone, so I'm doing everything myself. and
Mm-hmm.
he has like nap time, have to make him food. And of course I make everything myself. So I'm not like just grabbing something. I got to make it all. I'm
Right.
crazy. And then I also had to teach at a studio, which was like 30 minutes away, and then come
Oh my
back and
God.
do the podcast and go low.
Yeah.
So
I mean, wow.
I realized, yes, I just realized I was living in fight or flight. And like, I
Yes.
think that once you have done the work to heal your trauma, you have a lot easier of a time to like recognize when you're actually in fight or flight. Whereas like if you haven't done that work, you're probably just in fight or flight all the time, honestly. So I can tell
Yeah.
my cortisol is spiked. I can tell like I'm moving quickly. I'm taking short breaths. I'm not diaphragmatically breathing, and I just have
Hmm.
like this like agitated energy, like hectic
Yes.
energy. And
Yes.
I'm just like doing a million things, like grabbing the baby, grabbing the bags, like doing a million things. And
Right.
I literally texted you and I was like, of course this would happen this day. I was like, look, I'm gonna need some time. Like, and
Yep.
I was like, I need 30 minutes because I recognize I'm not in a good state. And I just, once I got like everything done, I put on my meditation. I literally laid there and just did deep diaphragmatic breathing, which is the easiest way to get yourself out of fight or flight.
Yes.
And I was a different person. Like, when you're out of fight or flight, when you can yawn. If your body starts
Yes.
yawning and relaxing, you're like, okay, I'm in parasympathetic. So, and I can talk about a little bit about
Yeah,
what
we'll dive all into
sympathetic.
that. But like,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love that, like, so for all of us that are just juggling all the things and running to all the pickups and doing all the
Hmm.
things, like, what I love is that, like, diaphragmatic breathing, which I didn't, I was breathing all wrong. I was like, it's,
Hmm.
and
We
we can
most
get,
of us are. Most of us
yeah,
are. Like, yeah, we're doing short breaths, like using our accessory neck muscles. Your
yes,
diaphragm is located between your rib cage, so you want your rib cage to expand 360 degrees when you do
right.
diaphragmatic breath.
Versus
And
like
most
that,
people
like
are not
vertical
doing that.
short breathing.
Hmm.
Right. That's why I was like
Yeah.
breathing like so high into my chest. And like
Hmm.
you just said, it is the quickest way to bring you down. So like stress is actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're like your mom trotting through life, like you're like, I'm
Hmm.
carrying the groceries in and I've got my 10-month-old on my hip and I'm going to run and pick up this other kid and I
I'm
got a
doing all
doctor's
the
appointment.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the things. That's not just stress. That's like fight or flight. So,
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. So what happens when you're stressed out is you produce the hormone called cortisol and you
mm-hmm,
overproduce it.
mm,
And that's what causes you to get in fight or flight, which is something that we want because it's our body's like biological way of knowing like there's danger. Like there's
mm,
a bear attacking you and I need to be
right.
able to quickly do things and like be super efficient and like be really strong and fight this bear. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we want our bodies to be able to do that, but our bodies
Yeah.
have to also be able to get out of that because if we're constantly overproducing cortisol, it actually breaks down your body. So that's why they say like stress is the root cause of all
All
disease,
the
right?
things. Yeah.
Where this heightened cortisol will give you will heighten your inflammation, like low grade chronic inflammation. So
Yes, I have
inflammation is
it.
the root of, yeah,
All the
of all
things.
disease.
It really
Yes,
is.
exactly,
Okay.
especially autoimmune disorders.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
we're
No,
going
no,
off
wait.
a
I got you,
tangent.
girl. But let's take a step back. So,
Yeah,
one, we're not fighting bears. We're in car
we're
line.
not
We're
fighting.
unloading
Yeah.
groceries. So it's
Hmm.
like sometimes I will say that to myself and like make myself giggle when I feel myself literally like doing those shallow breaths or honestly holding my breath when I'm so stressed. So
Yes.
step number one, ladies, for understanding like if you are in this sort of fight or flight mode is do you feel stressed? And like probably like if you're
Are
like
you
body,
breathing?
are you breathing? And we're not
Yeah.
fighting a bear. We're putting the groceries away. And yes, you have a
Yeah.
10-month-old who's wrecking your home while you're trying to do it,
Yes.
but you're
Yes.
okay. You're okay. Take a step back and breathe.
Yes.
So I think what was interesting is like the root of this is any type of trauma. And trauma is a very scary word, but there's big trauma, there's
Hmm.
like big T and little t trauma. So could we kind of like break that down for all the women out there who are listening, who are like, maybe they haven't had, well, I mean, we've all lived long enough that I'm sure all of us have experienced trauma in some way, shape, or form. But I love that, like, I don't love because it's a scary word, but like birth is a body trauma. Like, help
Hmm.
me define more of these like trauma states so that we could level set for people. Like, where are we rooting from?
So I'm going to give you my definition of trauma, how I kind of understand it, because
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. And I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, we got
um,
you. Yeah.
but trauma to me is any event that any just stressful event that you're like unable to cope with.
Wow. Oh,
So
that's good.
it's but it's something that's perceived. So something that I perceive as a stressful event that I'm unable to cope with might not be the same thing that you do. Like, for example, when we think of childhood trauma, like if someone perceives their bullying as a severe childhood trauma, but like the same thing
Yeah.
happened to me and I didn't think that it was, then
Yeah.
that's valid. Like it's all about how you perceive it and how it impacts you,
Yeah.
if that
Oh,
makes
I
sense.
love that. That gives people
Yeah,
permission, like,
to feel
to
what they feel.
feel what you feel. God,
Yeah.
that's another thing that
Hmm.
we all, us girls, have to work on is feeling
Yeah.
what you feel, and that you can feel
Yeah, for
multiple
sure.
things at once. I never would let myself even think I was stressed because I'm also smiling. And I'm like, well, I
Because
can't
you're
be
like, I'm
stressed.
so grateful for all the things that I
Totally.
have, but you're
Yep.
you're allowed to feel all the things. You're allowed to
I
feel
didn't
grateful and stressed.
I didn't know you could do both at the same time. That's
Yeah.
breaking news to me.
Yeah.
But it has been so transformational for me to be like, girl, you're happy, but also like you're stressed. You got a lot on your
Yeah.
plate. Calm down. Okay.
Hmm.
So I love that definition of it is essentially it's your feelings. And if you feel like you've
Yeah.
gone through something, no matter however anyone else feels about it, that is hard, like your body can't cope, whether your mind or your body just can't necessarily regulate,
Yeah, like
maybe.
you feel like you're out of control and you're fearful is
Oh,
another way to,
yeah.
yeah,
The
because
bullying
fear is
example was
kind of the
perfect.
root cause of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and when that happens, like when we are in that fight or flight state, you can even just do like a quick body scan. You'll notice like all your muscles are tense, right? Like especially
Hmm.
like your shoulders. You're ready to fight the bear, but like
Yeah.
there's no bear, you know?
There's no bear. And if you've got a
Yeah.
bear in your home, then let's talk about that.
Yeah. You might be in like California or
Right,
something.
right, right. Let's just lock the doors. Okay,
Yeah.
so we could have emotional trauma. Then there's the physical trauma of childbirth. What
Or like
about
any kind of injury.
injury? Okay, that was my
Yeah.
question. Excellent. I love that.
Hmm.
Of course, you read my mind.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so like any type of injury. And then,
Hmm.
so it is something that you either have to heal from or having a hard time coping with. And what effects does that have on your body?
Great question. I was just about to say that. So, emotional trauma tends to harbor itself in your fascia, which is the deep connective tissue.
Hmm.
So, like, for example, childbirth, where you
Hmm.
are pushing out a baby, right? So, a lot
Right.
of times, like, our well, this isn't emotional, this is physical.
I
But
got you, girl.
so anxiety, stress
Yeah.
tends to tighten up your pelvic floor muscles. So this is, I don't know, this might be TMI, but like
Yeah.
when we were doing our
Hey,
workouts,
safe space, ladies.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, like, are
Yeah.
your pelvic floor muscles relaxed? And most of the time they weren't, right?
Right.
So like,
Right.
because you were stressed out. So we had to
Always.
like constantly keep reminding
Right.
ourselves like that we don't need that to be on all the time because muscles need to be able to contract and uncontract. That's a healthy muscle, contract
Yeah.
and release. But a lot of times when we're in a trauma state, something stays contracted, whether you hold your stress in your jaw, in your neck, in
Hmm.
your shoulders, in your pelvic floor. A lot of women hold their stress in their pelvic floor. So, like a
Yeah.
lot of anxiety, stress, like I said, tightens up the pelvic floor muscles. And then
Which like
physical
relates to your
trauma.
hips, your lower back,
Yes.
like
Oh,
all
yeah.
that
It locks
stuff.
your pelvis in place. Like
Yes.
your pelvis is not moving the way it's supposed to. You might have like SI joint pain, lower back
Hmm.
issues. You might be
Yeah.
using your lower back instead of your abdominal muscles to like
Yes.
stabilize. So
Uh-huh.
that happens a lot with women, especially women that have given birth because
That happened to
they have
me.
not done the work to like heal from that physical trauma.
You would also
Um,
always talk about, and maybe this is more related to physical trauma, so feel free to be like, wait a minute, girl. But
yeah.
you would always talk about how like muscles would like turn off. And remember, like I
Yes.
was like, I have no
Yes.
butt, and you're like, we have to turn on
Yes.
your glutes, and like,
Yes.
why is muscles sort of like basically like shutting down? Is that the same as
Mhm.
turning off? And why do they do that? And is that related to trauma?
Yeah, that's the same exact thing.
Okay.
It can be related to trauma or like habitual patterns, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we might have poor habitual patterns of like
Sure.
when you stand up, you might lock out all your joints and push your
Mm-hmm.
hips forward,
I
which
do.
like your glutes aren't working at that point. So, because you
Right.
haven't worked them,
Yeah.
like because of how you live your everyday life, they just
Right.
stop functioning the way that they're supposed to. This is why exercise is so important. And this is
Yeah.
why lifting weights is so important because lifting weights forces you to use those muscles, right? But if
Yeah.
you can't feel that muscle working, then that's a sign like we need to activate that muscle. So with you, we would activate the muscle and then
Right.
we would work it.
Then we would work
Um,
it. Yep.
Yes, this is how I'm like very different from personal trainers because
Yes.
I'm like, is that muscle on? Is it
Right.
working?
And I'm like, I
Um,
don't know. Yeah, but now I do.
yes,
And I could be more aware of it. Like I carried 4 kids on my hips, so like sometimes 2 at a
yeah.
time. And so of course I have
Well,
my hips
then you
jutted out.
probably have a hip hike, right? So
Uh-huh.
you
I
might
do.
have a twisted pelvis. And
Yes.
like these are all things that obviously you can like go to a chiropractor
Mhm.
and go to like physical therapy to fix, which I'm a huge advocate of. But
Yeah.
also I'm a huge advocate of understanding where you are in space and where your bones are in your body, right? So like if you I can feel when my pelvis is rotating to the right and I'm like, okay, I need to like fix this and start
Mhm.
activating muscles to pull that back into alignment because that's what happens like when your muscles turn off like things start shifting because
And
you're doing these
compensating.
habitual pat yes
Mhm.
compensating exactly
Mhm.
you're doing these habitual patterns of always putting the baby on your left hip and hiking your
Mhm.
left hip up and
Yep.
like then your glute med turns off and all the
Yes.
things so
And
it's
like my whole
I
back
don't
body would turn off because remember I was like
yes
leaning over the computer all the time. You're like, all right. And so I got a
yes
standing desk and
you
that made
were
a yeah.
yes, that's another thing is like a lot of us live in our front body and our
Yes.
posterior chain
I
is
literally
just
don't
like
have a back
not
body.
working.
She's not here.
Yes.
Yeah, she
Yes,
left.
we're because we're always that's another way of knowing that you're probably in fight or flight a
Uh-huh.
lot because you're like leaning forward like you're like
Ready to run.
there's a really good picture on the internet of what you look like when you're stacked joint to joint, which is like when you're in parasympathetic, and then when you are in fight or flight, you're this is what you look like. You're just like head
Whoa.
is over in front of your hips,
I have to
shoulders in
sit up
front of your
straighter
hips.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
mm-mm, I'm good.
Think ears to shoulders to hips to knees to ankles. Everything needs to be stacked. And if you're not, then like you're gonna have these like pains over time
Yes.
because when we're stacked joint to joint, we're living like how we're supposed to with gravity, right? But when we're just
Mm-hmm.
slightly leaning forward, the
Mm-hmm.
gravitational force on our shoulders are so intense that our shoulders start to get tense because they're holding that load. And then they start
Gosh.
leaning more forward because it's so heavy. And then our back starts to get tense because it's taking some of that load. And then we start going more forward. That's why you see like old people looking like this.
Yeah, starting to bend
Yeah.
forward. And isn't that like such a
Mm-hmm.
metaphor for, let's say you are stressed, so you are in fight or flight and you start to
Mm-hmm.
lean forward, you're just adding more weight to your load.
Mhm.
So if you
Mhm.
take a second and you stack, you know, you align yourself, you think about your body, you think about every bone in your
Yes.
body. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just be aware and breathe into all of them and breathe that beautiful space that you deserve into your life, into your body, and
Yeah.
calm yourself down, even just for a second. But I love that. Like you did a 3-minute meditation. Let's say, like, after this, I got to hustle my oldest to tennis practice. And like,
Mhm.
there's no reason. I mean, I meditate all the time. So I can be like, Hayden, I'm just going to put on this meditation and I just need to breathe for 3 minutes because I'm all swirly whirly
Mhm.
trying to get you guys to all the places after school. And it's going to make a
Yeah.
huge difference. I'm actually going to do that. Thank you for the homework. I love
Well,
that.
also, I feel like I get this a lot on my Instagram where people are like, "Wow, you have time to like make all this food or you have
Yeah.
time to meditate. That must be so nice." I'm like, "I do not have time. I have a
No.
10-month-old where my
Yeah.
husband is traveling every other week and
Yeah.
I'm pregnant and
Yeah.
I'm working. Like I don't
Right.
have time. I make time because I know the quality of my life will be better if I am better. And like that is something that makes me better.
I
You know what
love
I mean?
that.
Like I
Yes.
here's a trick, and I will say this again later probably, but the one time that I know I have in the day to meditate is right before bed because I'm going to bed anyways. You
Yeah.
know, like so I
Yeah.
put on a meditation every night before bed and I've done this consecutively for maybe like 60 days now because
Yeah.
I just thought of it
Yeah.
because I was finding like I couldn't be consistent every day because my schedule was so crazy. I'm
Sure.
like, okay, well, what do I do every single day? I go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, and there's nothing that's gonna get in the way of me going to sleep. I have to
Right.
sleep, right?
Right.
So I just whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's 25 minutes or 4 minutes, I have this
Yeah.
meditation I do every single night, and it has changed the way that I wake up and take on the day. I look forward to it every night. I
Ugh,
sleep better. It's just so amazing.
I
Like I
love
want
that.
everyone to do
I
it.
don't meditate at night as much, but that like someone had told me, or I probably saw it somewhere online that like how you prepare your thoughts at night is because I was always like,
Hmm.
I get my anxiety in the morning. Like as soon as my eyes open, my heart rate spikes. That's
Yeah.
where my anxiety is. So I was like, I have to fix myself in the morning. But if you do the preparation at night, I'm finding it makes such a difference. So like I try and like,
Hmm.
if I'm not meditating, I'm thinking of things that I was like, what went great today? What did I love about today?
Yeah.
I loved my hot cup of
Yeah.
coffee. I loved the 70,000 hugs I get from Alex every night. Like,
Oh,
oh, he's the best.
so
And like,
cute.
so, but like, I love the idea of just throwing on a meditation and that gets you off your
Hmm.
phone. It's a purpose, but it like rocks you to sleep.
Yeah, and it's also really important to have like a sleep routine to stay consistent and sleeping well every night. So if you
Mm-hmm.
this is part of your routine, like you wash your face, brush your teeth, and then put on this
Mm-hmm.
meditation, you
Done.
will not only sleep better, but you'll wake up with a different energy. Like you
I
won't
love
wake up with
that.
anxious energy, like, oh, I have
Mm-hmm.
to take on the day. Like,
Right.
you
I
know.
love that. And like, that's the
Hmm.
simplest sleep routine I've ever heard. Done.
Yeah, so
I'm
easy.
I'm probably not gonna wash my face. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna brush my teeth. I'm just so tired, but like I'm gonna try.
I feel that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will wipe my face off and I will put on some lotion, and so just so when Adeline is like, "Did you do your skincare?" and I'll be like, "Uh huh."
Oh,
So I
I
love
love
that,
that.
but like keep it
Also, can
simple.
I say one thing?
Yes,
I'm
please
gonna
say
make
all
a
the
little
things.
plug for this app
Yeah.
because I use it every single day, and I think Headspace you have to pay for, but
Okay.
Insight Timer is
Ooh,
all free.
I don't know
That's what I
Insight
use.
Timer. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I use. It's amazing. They do
Okay.
have things that you can pay for, like they have courses that you can take and stuff, but if you want to do just meditation, whatever, the
Yeah.
only thing you can't do is like fast forward. So I find a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I had to pay for it." And I'm like, "Okay, were you trying to fast forward?" They're like,
Right.
"Yeah, well, that defeats the purpose of the meditation. Don't
Right.
try to do that." So you
Right.
can't like fast forward or go back. You just like either have to do the whole thing or just turn it off.
Okay.
But it's
All right.
completely free and there's so many great meditations on there.
I
I
love that.
cannot recommend it enough.
Okay, we'll link it in the show notes for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm obsessed. Okay, so so we've kind of level set on what trauma is, what fight or flight
Mhm.
is. And although these are like the big scary words, these are just everyday things. You get an injury, you are in fight or flight because you've overscheduled yourself because you take care of a whole household. And so we know from let's talk a little bit more like yes, it kind of dysregulates you, but and we talked about the cortisol spike and how that can really bring you up and
Mhm.
but let's circle back on that a little bit more and break down like I'm in fight or flight consistently. What is this doing to my body besides my posture?
Yes. So I actually want to say something real quick too.
Yes,
I don't want
please.
to scare people from cortisol and being in fight or flight because like I said, this is something that your body, your biologically you need, okay? Like we
Yeah.
just don't need to be in it all the time. So
Okay.
when you are working out, you do spike your cortisol, which is what you want because it's a stressful event on your body. Like
Okay.
picking up heavy weights is a stressful event on your body. That's how you get muscle growth. And everyone should be looking to gain more muscle because that's what keeps you healthy. And
Yeah.
that's for its optimal longevity of your life. You want more muscle. Okay. Like
Yeah.
that's if you're trying to be skinny, if you're trying to be lean, all the things, it's all about muscle. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah. Yeah. I
um,
love that. And I love that that's the consistent. Thank God. Can we stop trying to be real thin and let's get long and lean and strong and whatever
yes.
your version of strong is, but let's just be strong. I'm into
Yes,
it. Okay.
exactly,
So we need
exactly.
muscle. Cortisol is important in that
And
regard.
every after 30, you lose 1% of muscle every single year till you die. So like
Yikes.
if you're not actually doing anything to keep maintaining and building new muscle, you're just
Hmm.
going to start once your muscle is gone, you're going to start breaking away at joints, ligaments, connective tissue. You're going to be in pain. Like
Yeah.
I promise your life will be better if you focus on gaining new muscle or
Gaining new
maintaining
muscle.
muscle.
Okay,
Yes.
so it can literally so
Yes.
if you are not maintaining yourself and you're in an over stimulated state of fight or flight and it is you're not taking care of yourself and building muscle, it can really break down all those things. What is the effect on your nervous system? And maybe your nervous system is your hormones and cortisol. Maybe I don't know that. Tell me
So
like
So
how do we
your
get to
nervous system
inflammation?
has, yes, so your nervous system has a parasympathetic and sympathetic. Sympathetic is the fight or flight, okay? So that's when you're like doing all the things being reactive, your muscles are tense, you're working in overtime. Think you're working overtime, okay?
Yeah.
Parasympathetic is rest and digest. So this is when all your vital systems get a chance to reset. Your respiratory system, your circulatory system, your immune system. That's a big
Yeah,
one.
that is a big one.
So everything in your body, like think if you're in fight or flight all the time, that's like basically having a phone and never turning it off, right? So
Mm,
it never gets a chance to reset and work properly, right? So it's
yeah.
going to be a little fidgety.
Yeah,
Where
you're gonna be
in if
glitchy.
yes, where if you find a way to get in parasympathetic, like hopefully once a day at least, like going
Yeah.
into sleep, you're in parasympathetic, all these systems get a chance to reset. And this is kind of what we were talking about before. If you are doing all the things of like eating really well and working out and lifting weights, but you're so stressed, none of
Mhm.
that matters because those systems aren't taking in any of the nutrients. They're not building new muscle because they're breaking down muscle because they think it needs more energy because it's about to fight a bear. So like
Wow.
that part of your if you're so focused on being healthy, but you're not focused on getting rid of the stress first and the
Yeah.
cortisol first, or the healing the trauma first, none of
Yes.
that stuff matters,
So okay, so
which
let's say
sucks.
yeah, right? I'm like sometimes
Yeah.
I can't be the only person, and I know you are one step away from a house cow and churning your own butter, girl. But like
Yeah.
because I know you make your own. Yeah,
I
I know you
actually I actually do churn my own butter.
of course you do. Of course you churn your own butter. You
Okay, it's
would.
really easy. Like all you do is
Okay.
put a heavy cream in a KitchenAid for 10 minutes and spin it. That's
First of
it.
all, I gotta
Super
find my
easy.
KitchenAid. It's huge. And I'm like, where is that damn thing? So, okay.
Gotta keep it on the counter.
Right? So let's say I find finding the time to cook as much as you do as a stressor. I want you to
Hmm.
fax me all your food from Florida to Ohio, please. I want you to put it in the fax and
I would
somehow it's
love
going to show
to.
up on, yes, please. And I'll
Yeah,
fax myself and hold your baby when you need a nap. But
that would be nice.
yeah. Oh my God. I would love nothing more. If so, like, let's say, yes, I've got my own trauma stuff. I'm working on it. I'm healing. I'm doing so much better. I know my breathing, but like, if I'm
Hmm.
picking one of these activities that I need to do to be healthy is actually stressing me out, I know I need to carve more time, but like, is your advice to like, okay, back off that for a second, or like,
Oh,
how do
yeah.
you manage? Cause there's a bajillion facets to health. And sometimes I'm like, damn
Yeah.
it, I can't get any of them right. And here I am stressed again. How do we do
Mhm.
what am I doing?
Honestly, sleep is the number one thing. If you're
Okay.
not getting enough
Sleep.
sleep,
Yeah.
nothing else matters, right? So
I
because
love that.
most of the time if you're sleeping, you're in parasympathetic. Your
Yeah.
systems get a chance to reset.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sleep is the number one thing. I don't care it as my clients always ask me this. Like my client this morning had to cancel because she was up till 3 in the morning, and
Aw.
well, she actually didn't cancel. She was like, "Oh, I got no sleep. Like I've been up since 3 in the morning, stressed out about blah 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 blah." I was like, "Okay, well, we're not going to work out today because there's no point. Like your
Yeah.
body needs rest." So I
Yeah.
literally told her, "Do a meditation. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll
I
push."
love it.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm not someone that's like, get down and give me like 50 burpees. Like I'm very
Right.
purposeful in what we're doing. So like if your body is calling for rest that day,
Mhm.
you take that rest, and that you're
Yeah.
it's just going to give you the better results. I know so many people that like overwork out, that will do like 2-hour workouts a day, and they're like, I still have this pooch. Like I'm like, okay, that's inflammation. Like your body
Yeah.
is stressed. um
Yeah.
so I feel like so many people are just so disconnected from their bodies. I totally
Yeah.
went on a tangent and forgot your question.
I
What
got
was
you,
your
girl.
question?
I'm linking it all together. This is what I'm here
Yeah.
for. So we were talking about like if your nervous system and your things are all jacked and you realize that you're not
Oh,
getting the
yes.
physical results that you want because you're so stressed, how do we manage? So it
Hmm.
sounds like the priorities are sleep,
Sleep and
making
getting your
sure
body in parasympathetic. So like if
which the
you
easiest way to get
are
there is breathing.
diaphragmatic breathing, yes.
Yep.
So diaphragmatic breathing is just inhaling through your nose. Think inhale for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 6 or 8. So the longer you can exhale, the better. And the first like 3 breaths, and you can attest to this. Like it's
Yes.
hard at first
It
because
is
your
hard.
body's not used to it.
Hmm.
Another great breath technique is breath, or not breath, box breathing. So I
Yes.
think we did this too,
Yeah.
where
I do
you
that with my
inhale
therapist
for
too.
4.
Hmm.
Yes. So you inhale for 4, hold the breath for 4, exhale for 4, hold the breath for 4, and repeat.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if the one thing that I think I might have told you this, I tell all my clients this, but literally the one thing in our life that we can control is our breath. We can't
Yeah.
control
You told me
anything
that.
else.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so that the only thing we can control is our breath. And I tell a lot of my prenatal clients this too, because your body naturally knows how to have a baby,
Yeah.
but because we freak out, because we are so afraid of the unknown, like
Yes.
we start to breathe really irregularly and our body goes into fight or flight. Where,
Yes.
and I have a great story about this I
Yeah,
can
I was
build
gonna
on
say
with my own birth
I love your birth
journey.
story. Can we
Yeah.
can you give me the like
Yeah.
2 minute, 1 minute version of your birth story? Because I'm obsessed with that story. It's so
Yes, yes,
powerful. Okay, go.
yes. So like,
Tangent.
but
Yay.
just to finish what I was saying, if
Okay,
you can
fine.
control
Finish
your
your thought.
breath, if you can control your breath, your body will naturally know how to have that baby. Like it will, the contractions are going to happen. Like your uterus is contracting and pushing it out. So just if you can go into parasympathetic and just like
Mhm.
relax, everything will happen the way it's supposed to. Unfortunately, like we get pushed into like hold your breath, push as hard as you can, like getting it done as quickly as possible when that's not what it's calling for. Nature has a way of like working out. Like it's just let it be,
Yeah.
relax. But
Yeah.
my birth story, yeah, I will tell you, I'll try to be really quick about it. So I had a completely normal pregnancy, thank goodness. And then when I went into labor, my water broke and literally all of the amniotic fluid came out. Like everyone told me it
Yikes.
was going to be like a little trickle. It was not. It was like an explosion. I had to wear a towel to the emergency room. I
Oh
couldn't
my
even grab
gosh.
pants because it
Oh
was
my
just
gosh.
everything was happening.
Everywhere.
And yes, and I literally was wearing like rubber slides and I was going like walking through the hallway.
Oh my
And
God, you're a full
they
squeak.
were like, "Oh yeah, you are in labor." So because I had no like barrier between the baby and my uterus, he was getting hit really hard with contractions. So they were like,
Mhm.
the last thing I wanted was to have a C-section. It was like my worst nightmare because I was just so afraid of it.
Mhm.
Nothing against it. I was just like
Right, you were
afraid to
just
do it
scared.
because
Yeah.
yes, I was like, oh, it's such a
Yeah.
massive trauma.
Yeah.
So not like birth is not a massive trauma, but
Right, but that's just everyone's
um,
allowed to be scared about what you wanna be scared about. You can be scared of
yeah.
C-section.
So they told me like I need to have a C-section because my blood pressure was rising, his heart rate
Mhm.
was dropping. It was a
Mhm.
very stressful situation.
Mm.
And then they also messed up my epidural, so they had to do it twice. And as
Oh
soon as
god.
I got the second dose, like my entire body went numb and I started projectile vomiting everywhere.
Oh
And I was
god, you
like,
poor thing.
okay, something is wrong. And they were like, no, 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 this happens all the time. I'm like, no, I'm like really connected to my body. Something is not right. I'm also shaking, convulsing, like
Yeah.
and just
Uh-huh.
throwing up nonstop. And I'm like, something is wrong. And they're like, no, you're fine.
Right,
And
yay
then they try to tell
childbirth.
me to take a nap. Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So that's when
Take
they
a nap.
come in and they're like, we need to do a C-section. You're not well. I'm like, I told you I wasn't well. Like,
Yeah.
and then I asked them, like, is there any other option besides C-section? They were like, well, we can put saline to replace the amniotic fluid and act as a barrier to the baby and the contractions. I was like, please try that. And I knew like that was my only option because they were like, you're going to have to do a C-section if this does not work anyways. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
care. Just try it.
Yeah.
And at that moment, like I realized how severe fight or flight I was in. That's
Yeah.
why like my body was shaking so bad.
Yeah.
That's another sign, like if you're
Yeah.
shaking.
Yeah, right, which
So I was
happens.
like, yes. So I was like, okay, this my only option right now is this saline and I need this to work and I can't control anything, but I'm gonna control my breathing so I can get into parasympathetic. If I can relax my body, my baby will not be in distress. And like this is like all going on in my mind. So they leave and I tell my husband to go under my rib cage. So this is a really good way of doing diaphragmatic breathing if you are in like a very serious like panic attack
Yeah,
slash
yeah.
because I think I was having like low key panic attack.
And
Where they
so many people have those. Yes,
yeah,
continue.
so if you're in a situation where you're like, I can't just lay down and breathe diaphragmatically, you can
Mhm.
manipulate it by pushing into your diaphragm. So like I was so pregnant that I couldn't get in there myself. So he had to literally like go under my ribs and like push into that muscle because the diaphragm is a muscle. And I'm just like when you touch a muscle, it sends mechanoreceptors to your brain to use that muscle.
Mhm.
So that's a way of connecting with it. So like I'm like inhaling through my nose, exhaling out of my mouth. I have a meditation on. I have like essential oils to like get all my senses to calm down. And we
Yeah.
did this for like 45 minutes. And I'm just like, and my eyes are closed, but it's dark in the room. I'm like, I can't control anything. I just could control my breath. I just kept saying that. And another
Yeah.
really good trick is telling yourself, like you can say audibly too, I am safe. I am safe. I do this with my
Yes.
clients all the time
I say it to
because
myself.
that's,
Yeah.
yes, like
Mhm.
because your body does not feel safe when you are in fight or flight, right? You are fighting the
Mhm.
bear. So I kept saying, I am safe. I am safe. Like, I'm going to control my breath. I am safe. But I just kept repeating the same things over and over. And then 45 minutes later, a nurse comes in and she's like, we are all so confused. Like, we are looking at your vitals and whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's working. Like, his heart rate has stabilized, your blood pressure is stabilized. I sent the doctor home. Like, if you keep doing this, you can have a natural birth. Like, do whatever you're doing. And like I could tell my body like went into
Yeah.
parasympathetic too. It like
Mhm.
feels like, oh, relaxed. And
Yep.
I ended up taking a 4 hour nap. And then the baby came out in 30 minutes naturally. They brought the doctor in like just to catch the baby. Like it was wild. And I was like, wow, this is truly like the perfect example of why,
Yes.
one, you can only control your breath, but two, like if you can get your body out of that fight or flight mode, like everything has a way of just working out and you just have to trust. And it's so hard to do in the moment, but like you just need to. And it really does. Like
I
it
love
really
that
does. I don't
though.
know.
You gave great tricks. You can
Yeah.
literally be like, I am safe. And then you can touch
Mm-hmm.
a part of your body that you need to breathe into. Touch it. Make sure
Yeah.
your air
Mm-hmm.
goes to it. It used to have me hold
Yeah.
the side of my ribs. And it's like, and I
Yes.
do that with my kids now. I have one of my little guys has a hard time, can get really anxious and at bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
And so we meditate before bed. And once you taught me how to do diaphragmatic breathing, I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
I
put your
love
hands on the side
that.
of your ribs. And I was like, you need to feel your hands move in and out, because
Yes.
he's like got that shallow breath all up in his chest, like so
Mm-hmm.
many of us get. So it's like you tell yourself you're safe. You connect to your body in the simplest way.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this while you're driving and like take nice, big, slow count breaths in and slow
Mm-hmm.
count breaths out. And it's like whether you are trying to deliver a baby with high blood pressure and a high baby heart rate, or you're just running around for the day, but you're absolutely in fight or flight. You
Yeah.
have the power, like you said, you have the power to control your breath
The
and
one thing is that,
yeah,
yeah.
and everything
Yeah.
changes after that. Legit,
It really
everything
does.
changes. Yeah.
And it's crazy what happens when you live in flow like that. Like
Mhm.
I certainly believe if I didn't do that, I would have had a C-section 100%. Like
Yeah.
my body would
Yeah.
not have calmed down. It would have been not the birth story I wanted. I would have had such bad birth trauma. I don't even know if
Right.
I would want to have another baby. Like
Because to
it
you, the
was,
C-section was fighting the bear.
yeah, 100%. It was like
Yeah.
I kept saying this is like the one thing I don't want, and like I
Mhm.
had no issue going into it, you know? So I didn't think that was my birth plan. And obviously like things change, and if my baby, if his life depended on it, of course I would have done it. But like
Yeah,
it
of
wasn't
course.
what I wanted.
Mhm.
But I just think it's so important to have this tool in your pocket of like knowing how to control your breath. It really is, because even just like the way that you think changes. Like I you can visualize the outcome that you want when you are in like
Yes.
this calm state. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can manifest the
Absolutely.
things that you want when you're in this parasympathetic state, but when you're in fight or flight, you're in reaction mode. You're
Yeah.
reacting to everything
And
instead of
like
responding.
you go down this spiral of like you think of all the worst things that are going to happen, and it
Yeah.
finally gives you the space to be like, how is this going to, like, picture it working out? What if it all works out? What does that look
Yeah.
like? What does that look like?
Yeah.
And just even the
Mhm.
permission to do that from yourself is beautiful. Okay, so like we've identified trauma comes in all shapes and sizes, as does this fight or flight stage, and that there are easy tricks to do it. What made you so passionate about trauma and how it affects your body and how it's influenced how you train people? Because I know this is like, you know, this is not the typical personal training.
No, it's definitely not. Honestly, it's just my personal experience, definitely. Like I was in a relationship that was just uh, for I was in a relationship for 5 years that was pretty abusive, but four of
Hmm.
them, I would say I was living in fight or flight the entire time and just like
Gosh.
complete loss of control and just afraid to get out of it because I didn't feel safe. But like
Yeah.
I didn't feel safe in it either. So it was like a
Yep.
very helpless situation.
Hmm.
And once I actually did get out of it and safely, thank God, but like it could have gone a totally different way.
Yeah.
I realized like so many women are going through this and like not even realizing it because I was in such a state of stress, chronic stress all the time that it was my normal that I was like, I'm so productive. I'm like going
Yep.
to work. I was working a corporate job at the time too. So I'd be like going to work, then going to teach classes and going to take a class. I would take like yoga or something
Yeah,
and then
right?
come
Oh
home
my
at like
gosh.
9 and be
Because you
like,
just
let's
wanted to
do it
feel
all
better.
again.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like I was also like avoiding going home too.
Yeah, I
But
hear
like
you.
I
Yeah.
was just I literally did not rest ever. Like I never gave my systems a chance to reset. So not only was I going through like emotional trauma at that time, but I was also going through physical trauma because I wasn't resting at all with my body. So my body started to break down. I started to have like a lot of injuries. Because I was working out so much and never resting ever. So like I
Mhm.
had a shoulder injury, a back injury, an ankle injury, and a hip injury. It just kept going. But like I didn't stop. I just was like, I just won't use that leg or something.
Right,
And
right.
because
I got
that was like
another.
the one thing. Yeah, exactly. And once I finally got out of that situation and like started to heal and like learn about trauma, because I didn't even know I was in a traumatic situation. I
No, so often
luckily
you don't when you're in it.
Yes. Yeah, yes. And like luckily I had like a great childhood, so I was always thought like everyone was like a great person, but unfortunately not everyone is.
Yeah,
Um
true.
so yeah, so once I actually like realized everything that I had gone through and started healing, and then I started dating my husband at the time and he was like such a safe space. Like he held
Mhm.
space for me to like heal and just I don't know, like he knew I had been through so much and he let me just
Be
be me
you.
and told
Mhm.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time my body was like, "Oh, we're safe now." And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, I was in like excruciating chronic pain. And I was
Ugh.
like, "What is going on?" I lost like 30 pounds. I was so skinny. Like
Ugh.
I was I would lay on the floor with my legs up because like I just letting gravity go down for like 8 hours a day. Like I'm like, what is going on? Like
Oh my gosh.
I'm broken. Like I'm broken. I'm breaking down. But it's because I was literally living in fight or flight for 4 years.
Yep.
So my body
Yep.
finally felt safe enough to like stop and let go, and everything just fell apart. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, whoa, this is mind blowing. So
Yes.
that and I this goes back to the question of like if you feel stressed out about working out or like eating healthy or whatever, should I keep doing it or should I not? At that point, like I really wanted to be super healthy and work out, whatever, but my body, all it needed was for me to rest. So for a year, I literally did nothing. Like I did not work out. I just kept eating like nutrient dense things and a lot of food. Like I needed to like nourish myself
Heal.
again. You know what?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. I was in my
Yeah.
healing era.
Ugh.
So
Love a
and
healing
that's when
era.
I started to like really slow down and learn about like working out and training in a way. This was 2020, so this is when I started personal training too.
Mhm.
Training in a way that was like a lot more safe and purpose driven instead of like trying to look skinny and perfect to like feeling
Mhm.
strong and powerful and like grounded and doing like meditations and it really like changed my life and it made my life so incredibly better. Like I firmly believe I attracted like the energy of my husband because of it too. And like I don't
Yeah.
know, life's just started to become like this beautiful thing that I never knew it could be.
Oh.
And because I was just in such a trauma state for so long, and I'm like, okay, I feel like other people are going through this, and somehow, I mean, the universe works in mysterious ways, but like
Love that
somehow all
universe.
these people started finding me, like wanting to train with me and they had gone through some sort of trauma whether it was
Yep.
like a physical trauma or emotional trauma or like overworking out type of situation like it I don't know it just started happening. I was like wow, this is incredible. I could have an
Yeah.
impact on all these people's lives
And you
and like
are.
because of what
Yes.
I went through and it's honestly been like the most rewarding thing I've ever done because it's so cool to see like that person that you're working with be like, wow, like my life doesn't have to be like this. Like I can feel this good. Like I don't have to be in chronic pain. I don't have to be stressed out all the time or like and once they get this ball rolling, all of a sudden they have this like perfect body that they've always wanted. And they're like, whoa,
Yeah.
I've been trying to do this forever. And all of a sudden I
Right?
just have this.
There's
Yeah,
the
it's
icing
really
on the
cool.
cake, like
The
you
icing
said.
on the
It's
cake.
like, and that is
Exactly.
like, that is how we heal from the inside out. And I thank you for sharing that. I know that's, I'm sure,
Of course.
I mean, I've got plenty, everyone's got their trauma and it never feels great to talk
Hmm.
about, but I really
Yeah.
appreciate that because I think that makes it so relatable for so many women to be like, wait, I do know that feeling. And I know that feeling where I cannot go on anymore. So you guys,
Yeah.
let's like celebrate the rest era. And
Yes.
like, that's
Yes.
where we
The
get back to
healing
this.
era for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm into
Hmm.
it. Okay, so like conceptually, how do you want this is like even beyond how we train and how what we feed our body. What do you want for women and what does it mean to you? Like what do you hope for our future and for our current generation, for all of us now and for the future around this notion for women to do less? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, so I think our culture kind of glorifies like martyrdom for women. Like we
Yes.
have to just
Yes.
kind of do everything and kill ourselves doing it because we have to be the best mom, the best businesswoman, the best like the chef, whatever.
Yeah.
And we forget to take care of ourselves. So I just really want women to like slow down and just
Yeah.
be in your body, like feel what it's like to be grounded because
Mhm.
so many women are just moving forward, right? We
Mhm.
don't even know what grounded even feels like. We don't even know
Mhm.
that our like when we're sitting in a chair, do you feel yourself pushing down with your feet or are you just like resting, slouching in your chair? Like, what do you
I
feel?
know.
You know, most
Yeah.
people don't feel their feet on the ground. So
Yeah.
it's so important because if you can take care of yourself, all the other things are going to like go into place naturally. Like it's
Yes.
everything's going to flow so much better. But
Yes.
we think we have to do the most, and I think we can do a lot less and take care of ourselves, and things will just fall into
Just
place.
naturally
So,
fall into place. I
hmm
had this moment where it was over the weekend and I didn't have my kids this weekend. So I really try and focus on rest when I don't have my kids.
hmm
And I'm like, okay, what brings me joy that is restful? Walks outside, like it's just to grab a drink with a girlfriend or just anything like,
hmm
I just basically try and like downshift in a major way. And I was so frustrated because I like wasn't feeling good, but I realized I had like your feed just kind of continues to get flooded with different things about your nervous
so much
system, your cortisol.
information.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I need to be dry brushing and I need to be lemon juicing and I need to be, and I'm like, and I'm going to bake and I'm going to cook and I'm going to walk and I'm going to talk and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to stretch and I'm going to work out. And I was like, fuck it. I just need to relax for a second.
You need to sleep.
Yes, I just needed to sleep. And like,
Yeah.
so I think the concept of like, it's hard. I found myself slipping back into perfectionist mode because I wanted those
hmm
benefits that everyone talked about so much. But when I just sat for a second and was like, actually, I had this beautiful moment. I was meeting my girlfriend for hot yoga before we were going to go for dinner. And I had had a really jam-packed day and I was like all ready to go. I had calmed myself down before going to yoga, all ready to go. And I couldn't find my phone. So I was 5 minutes late. And then once I got there, the parking lot was completely crowded and I couldn't find parking. By the time I got to the door,
So
I was like
you're
eight
just
or nine.
so stressed.
I was locked out. I couldn't go to yoga.
Oh,
And
you were locked out.
I was
Oh
locked out and I couldn't
no.
even go home because I was meeting my girlfriend for dinner after. And as much as me and my inner child wanted to go snuggle in yoga pose and just have like the most gentle, warm, snuggly, hot yoga, I was like, hey, universe, I got you. I'm going to sit in the car and just chill
Yes.
out. Yeah.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
like,
I
because it
had a
was
moment like that recently
right.
too.
And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, these are where we have to embrace like just be curious about what sounds good. Like you love to cook. So yes, cook all
Yeah.
your stuff, turn your butter, get a house cow. Like
I want a house
I
cow,
know you do.
okay?
You have chickens. I know you do.
People are
Uh,
gonna think I'm so weird.
but I love weird. You're weird in the most perfect way because you
Oh,
are
thank
so
you.
authentically you. You love to cook. It's part of your
Oh,
family. It's what
yeah.
bonds you and your husband. You love to feed your child in that way. Like just be
hmm
you. But I think like I just keep trying to think of especially in like the fitness world and in the health world and in the mental health world, there's so many tips and tricks out there that, and maybe it's just me and how my brain processes, but sometimes it's hard for me to do less.
You get overwhelmed because you
Yeah.
feel like you have to be doing so much.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's so much more important to focus on like if there's one thing you can focus on, I would do the meditation. I would focus on the mind stuff because
Yeah.
everything has a way of falling into place. Like I want to share a story. before I forget, well, let me tell you this first, but I have noticed every time I do a meditation, it looks like I gua sha'd my face when I'm done. And I'm like, oh,
Ooh.
that's really interesting. And then I thought about it. I'm like, think of all the facial muscles that you use and your
Mm-hmm.
fascia, like it's
Mm-hmm.
your connective tissue. When you get like stressed out or like tense in some way, like sometimes my like one side of my face will be like turning one way because I'm just like doing all the things. But when you can send your breath throughout your whole body into all of your cells and relax them, like
Mm-hmm.
you look so much younger. Like you're
Yeah,
already
you
doing so
glow.
many, you're hitting all the things if you can just
Mm-hmm.
breathe and go into parasympathetic. Like I think that is truly the most important thing because all the other stuff is like added bonuses. Like the workouts, the nutrition, like of course, like I'm a huge
Right.
advocate for both of those things,
Of course you
but
are.
I
Yeah.
don't think any of those matter if your mind is not in the right place, if you're not
Yes.
parasympathetic, if you're stressed out all the time. None of that,
Right.
you're not going to get the benefits of the other things.
And you're not like going to enjoy life. I have many moments
No.
and like again, I'm smiley. I am grateful. Like I really genuinely love my life. I like
Hmm.
but I
I know
have
you do.
moments. Yes, I really like really
You're
really
like,
do.
you're great energy.
Yeah, thank you. And like, but I will have moments where I get so speedy that I'm like, I am missing the little moments right in front of me. And then I find myself so stressed and I fell out of love with my life again. Not like in a sad, depressed way, but I'm like,
Yeah.
you missed it. You missed the good stuff. You missed the picture that they held up
Yeah.
to show you. You missed the moment to sit and breathe and connect back to your body. Like, I love the
Yeah.
idea of like, because sometimes when we hear do less, it's like, okay, I roll because like I have all these things on my plate. You have to feed your baby 700 times a day. And like, you also like have to teach a million clients and put your baby down for a nap. And it's like, it's more like circling back to our big like takeaways is like, it's listening to your body and what does it need less of? Does it need less
Hmm.
noise in your head? Breathe. Does it, like I think it's really slowing down and being more intentional with your to-do list and how you navigate that. Is
Yeah,
that
for
right?
sure.
Do you think
For
like I'm
sure. I
trying to
think
like
being
yeah.
intentional is like the biggest takeaway because there's obviously things in your day that you don't have control of that you have to do that you might be
Mhm.
busy doing. Like we
Mhm.
have kids, they're going to take up most of our day, but
Totally.
there also needs to be time for you. And like if
Mhm.
you don't have that time, like I said, make it right before bed. You're
I
going to
love
bed
it.
every day. Like
Yeah.
there is time, I promise. If I can
Mhm.
find time, you can find time. Like everyone
100%.
can make time. It's just a matter of prioritizing and like being very intentional with what you're doing. Like I think of all the times you're probably scrolling through your phone. Like,
Right?
like
Just
we're
saying.
all guilty of it. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Oh my God, this has been so good. I feel like I could ask you 1,000 bajillion questions, but I know both of us have to wrap this up. So, okay, some of my big takeaways to make sure that I've hit everything for
Hmm.
all our lovely ladies out there is like the power of the mind body connection. If you are not in the proper state and really just connected to your mind and relaxed in your body, anything else that you're trying to do in your life, whether it be work on your physical fitness, show up for your family, can't happen because like the systems literally shut down. So
Hmm.
and it's way more simple to do it than we think. It's finding those moments to sit and breathe. And maybe even that
And
happens
breathe.
in little mini moments all day long. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay. And
It can
then,
literally be a 2 minute breath work. That's it.
yeah, that's it. That's
Or
literally it.
30 seconds. I'll make it even smaller.
Right. Cause, and also like what a gift to you to take you just to find those moments all day long for yourself. It's not like, it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be the hour-long massage, although like, let's all go get those. Okay. But
Yeah,
like,
those are lovely.
no, they're so lovely, but make time for yourself in those little moments all day long. And then I love that the body transformation is really the icing on the cake and that like
Hmm.
you can birth a baby with the power of your breath. You
Yeah.
can shift from, oh my God, how am I ever going to even talk on this podcast to like, I am glowing. I got flowy hair and I just want to help women feel good. And you've nailed it. This has been so helpful.
Oh.
Is there anything else like to especially I know you are deep in the throes of being a new mama, like anything like that I know you have come out of trauma and have really built your practice around that. And now that you're shifting into motherhood, is there anything else like for pregnant moms or new moms that you're just like,
Yeah,
I see
this is
you?
actually a great segue to the story that I wanted to tell
Oh
that I
yeah, we
forgot about.
forgot.
Yeah, so I started my meditation practice. So unfortunately, I keep starting meditation when I am like super, super stressed instead of just continuing with meditation. And
Yeah,
like
that's
I'll be
very
the first
human.
one to admit that.
Hmm.
Um, I wish I would, but like I think now I don't think I'll ever give it up because I see what it has done for me. But I started meditation again, like I told you, like 60 days ago, doing it
Hmm.
every single day because
Hmm.
I had this moment with my son who like he's 10 months, so he's just like all in
Mm.
his personality, nonstop doing things,
Yes,
doesn't want
he's
to nap.
so
And
busy.
yes, so he's very, very busy, very busy, and very vocal. And he's just the best, but he's like a lot. And
Oh my God, 10
because
months is so
he's
hard. Yeah,
he's like my
totally.
personality. And then
Yeah.
I also am pregnant, right? So I'm just like, I had this moment where I was doing like back to back days. My husband was not here. I was
Hmm.
really stressed out. And like, I just had this like breakdown. Like, I was
Hmm.
crying and I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, how am I going to do this with two under two? Like, I can't do it. Like, blah, blah, blah. I went down this like stressful spiral.
Totally.
So I started my meditation the next day. And literally within like 3 days, I would say, he had this moment of like not wanting to nap, like just crying, screaming bloody
Hmm.
murder. And I'm like
Hmm.
pregnant, rocking him, like just trying. I'm like, I have to cook his lunch. Like, I have to clean up
Hmm.
the house. Like, I have
Hmm.
to do all these things. And then I just like had this moment of like, one thing that happens with meditation is it helps you regulate your emotions,
Mm.
which I like always have had a really hard time doing because I'm just like an emotional person.
Same, girl, same.
And all of a sudden, I just like snapped out of this like heightened emotional state, and I was like, maybe the universe is telling you like you need to slow down today. Like, you have been so tired. Like, why don't you just let him nap on you? Like, you're about to have another baby. How many contact naps do you have left with him? And like I just sat there and like as soon as I put him on my chest, he fell asleep. Like, he had been crying, screaming for 30 minutes. Like,
Aw.
I promise I don't usually let him do that for 30 minutes. I was just like,
Hey,
what is
girl,
going on?
whatever it
And
takes.
yeah, and all of a sudden he was fine. I fell asleep. I mean, I didn't really fall asleep.
Oh,
I was like,
right. But you
like
rested what your dear
I was
body
like
was
rest
begging
actually
for.
getting rest. And
Yeah.
afterwards, like my whole day was significantly better. He woke up like smiling in my face. I was like,
Aw,
this is the best.
the
And I was like,
best.
wow, like that was supposed to happen today. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I would have reacted that way had I not been meditating. Like, I would have been like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like I
Yes.
don't even know what to do. And then I probably would have just like brought him out and been like, I guess we're not napping. That's how I would have reacted if I was
Totally.
not meditating. And I realized the more I have been meditating, the quicker I have become to regulating my emotions. So like right now he's in like a total temper tantrum toddler situation. So like he
Yeah.
feels his emotions aggressively, right? So
Yes.
when he does that, it doesn't like have an overwhelming impact on me like it normally would have. Like, I'm like, okay, so we're really angry right now. All
Right.
right. And
Yep.
because I keep my nervous system regulated, it somehow bounces back on him, like the energy, and
Totally.
then he's
Oh,
like, chiller.
absolutely. I
Yeah, so
love
I'm like,
that.
I don't know how, like I would say I don't even know how you could be a mom to a toddler if you're not meditating because I
Oh
could
no,
not.
did
Like,
I
I'm like,
lose you?
thank God this happened at this time because I think it's giving me the
Are
skill
you
set to
there?
like handle two under two too. So once I regulated my nervous system, somehow like
Hmm.
it also would regulate his nervous system. And I don't know like if that energy was just like coming off,
It
but like
totally
yeah,
translates.
like it made everything so much easier to deal with where like if I hadn't been meditating, there's no way I would handle it like that. Like, I would be like overwhelmed, stressed out. I would probably start crying. Like, I
Yeah,
just feel like
totally.
I I genuinely think every mom needs to do some sort of meditation because it is wild how effective it is. And I've talked about this a lot on my Instagram recently.
Hmm.
I keep sharing Insight Timer because I'm like, guys, this is life changing as a
Life changing.
mother. Like, your emotions are so heightened, one when you're pregnant and when you're postpartum. Like, the one thing I would say is like if you're able to regulate them a little better, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, like we don't most of us don't have the skill set to do that. Like, we've never really been taught that, and we have to learn that
Absolutely.
ourselves.
Yes.
But meditation has a way of like showing you like, okay, like this is coming at me, but I'm okay. Like, we're going to
Mhm.
be okay. Everything's
Yes.
fine.
Because
Yeah.
it
And
and honestly, everything is always gonna be
yeah,
okay, no matter
yeah.
what.
Everything
Oh,
has a way of working out. It really
it
does.
does. It really does. Oh my god. Okay, well, I'm meditating tonight, the end. Like,
Love
and
that.
I'm obsessed, and I'm gonna, like, as I hustle the kids to all their activities tonight, I'm just gonna make sure I'm breathing into my diaphragm and that I'm just, like, enjoying the time with my kids, and it's not like if they're 5 minutes late, I don't care. I got to hang out with my kid in the car, like,
Yeah.
it's
It
all gonna
changes
work
your
out.
perspective too, like,
Mhm.
that's another thing. And one more thing before I forget is, like, I know it's really hard to start meditating, like, I've totally been there when I first started, I couldn't even
Yeah,
still for, like, 30 seconds, I'm like, "Oh, this
literally.
is terrible." But the more you do it, it's kind of like lifting weights or, like, doing some sort of workout, the more you practice it, the better that you get, and then you start craving it, like, now I'm like, "Oh, I wanna do, like, an hour, this is so fun." Like, it's
That's awesome.
crazy, which is why I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm saying that because I used to not be able to sit still for 30 seconds. Like,
Oh
it
my
was so
god.
challenging.
I'm
Yeah, so
obsessed. I'm gonna
start
make my yeah.
small and build up.
I love that. Oh my God. This is so good. I'm going to also have my kids meditate. I mean, I do with my one, but I'm going to be like mandatory because a lot of
Yeah,
times, like, we'll all cut screens and they have to either read or draw. But like, just to have the power, especially as I'm getting teenagers and tweenagers. I'm like, oh,
yeah, a
we're
lot of
all,
emotions.
we're going to all have a lot of emotions, myself very much included. Okay. Today has been phenomenal. I really think that it has given women such permission for making space for themselves, even the littlest of spaces to the big spaces. There have been such tangible tips around breathing and meditating and fitting it in before bed and the powerful impact that it has on your mind, on your body, on the people around you. And you can be a hottie boom body when you finally like just relax a little bit and then go do
Yeah,
exercise you enjoy, but focus on your muscles. Get some muscles. Oh, this has
yes.
been so delightful. Thank you so much. I know you are juggling so many things, and today has been a day. So I just want to say thank you a million times again. Where can people find you on Instagram so they can follow all your amazing advice and see all the food that you're going to fax me from Florida?
Oh my God. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun. I love chatting with you always. So
Always.
my Instagram is Melody, MELODYY dot
Mm,
lasso, LASSO. And then I share recipes, tips, all the scientific things that I learned that I feel like are super helpful for everyone else. I try to share
yes.
everything. I'm probably oversharing, but
No such
you
thing.
can
You're
definitely
doing an
find me on
amazing
there.
job. Yeah.
Thank you. And then I also have a website with my recipes, and you can also put inquiries in if you want to virtually personally train with me. So that's
Yep.
staywellwithmel.com.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Melody, you're just a dream. And I just can't wait to
Oh,
see the cute little baby that comes out next because you make real cute babies.
oh,
And I
thank you
got to
so
find my
much.
way down to Florida so I can steal them and snuggle them and hold them while you rest.
Oh, feel free. And the
I'm,
door is always open.
I
You guys can
literally be
hang
like,
out with
oops,
the
it's me
chickens.
again. Yeah, fine. I'll hang out with a chicken and hold a baby. Oh my God. I think I just found my dream day. All right, you guys. Thank you everyone for listening. Please share this with all the busy women in your life and celebrate the beauty and just slowing down for a second and focusing on us. And I think I'm so grateful for you for sharing all that you shared because women, we need the permission for stuff like that. And we're working on it. So our next generation doesn't need the permission because we've then led by example. But until then, let's just
Yes,
keep reminding ourselves to slow down a little bit and take care of ourselves. Oh, you're the
yes.
best. Okay.
Love that.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me, you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourownsstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you? And just remember, I'm rooting for you and you've totally got this.